that has been in the parking lot for a very long time. The act was assented by our dear president last year, August. Was it August? Sometime last year, and that was a really great milestone that spoke to the intentionality of our government in terms of including persons with disabilities in their activities. We've also seen significant efforts by the government, especially in mashinani, whereby nothing can happen without us being on the table and having our voices where conversations are happening. Kudos to the Ngao team and to the other government sectors like the judiciary and other parastatals of government. And the hope that I have, or the hope that I see is, number one, before I go to the hope, can I cite an oversight that I have seen? Because this is a conversation anyway. When we look around this podium, and online as well, we are missing a very critical accessibility format for those that are following online and those that are in this place with hearing impairment. It was an oversight, and I give it as a recommendation that next time that is looked at critically, because
thank you.
This being a national conversation, then it ought to carry us all to the other side of the river. And the other observation that I have made, I'm moving to my hope. I have also observed that in most of our activities or our events, we are not intentional about including persons with intellectual disabilities. When I speak about persons with intellectual disabilities, is the people that we sometimes shun away from because of their complexity of their disabilities, in that the way they take concept in and the way they give output out is a little bit different from everyone in our midst today. And I believe that is something that in our next roadmap, we should have an intentional way of targeting, really targeting persons with intellectual disabilities and those with autism. The other thing is that I need us to see more formats of communication in our various engagements. I'll give examples. Persons who are short-sighted, that do not see small letters. How inclusive are we when we are projecting?
Even I was struggling.
In our screens, how inclusive was that? And those that use Braille is that format that is going to be accessible to those of us that have gone to school and can use Braille too as a way of communicating to themselves. Again, we have a very forgotten group in the communities that have not been participating in our activities most of the times because of the barriers. The deaf-blind people, we've seen how America has empowered the deaf-blind lawyer. All of us know her. We've seen how she even came to Kenya to inspire us, persons with disabilities, brought in by National Council and brought in to inspire and change a narrative that has been there of persons with deaf blindness are supposed to be left away. Just to ask, how many of us know that we have a language known as tactile? Tactile. How many of us know that? Mr. President, do you know tactile? Do you know how it is used? Please, it is actually embedded in our national book, our reference book, the Constitution of Kenya, whereby it's a mode of communication for those who are deaf, blind. So we'd also want to see that in play, because it is mandatory to carry all of us to the other side of the river. Now, yes. I am going to my hope. The Kenya I hope to see a Kenya that is inclusive, a Kenya that is intentional, a Kenya that is led by us with diverse perspectives and disabilities. We need to be included, not integrated. We don't want integration. We want to be at the center of where conversations are happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the humanity, even in how you started Festus, and you took a moment to recognize and greet us, and you've taken us through a comprehensive view of what's missing and where you need us to go. Thank you so much for that. I want to also just recognize, you mentioned somebody from a different country who inspired you, but we have our own in Kenya, do we not, who is a senator? Honorable Crystal, yes, and I don't know if she's here, but she's incredibly inspiring, and so I just wanted to also mention that. Thank you so much. Let me come to you, Ambassador Ndemo. Again, we were at the front lines of much of the change of Kenya with you. You were right there, and you saw what it took to change a nation. It's not easy to push, to evolve, but you did that. Take us through the learnings you had in delivering Vision 2030, the part you played in development of Kenya, and where you think we really need to be going for 2063.
Thank you, Julie. Let me recognize His Excellency the President, Deputy President, Prime Cabinet, Cabinet Ministers, and all guests and governors I saw here. The question I have to answer it from the problems that I had before we saw the changes. When going to high school, I would board a bus and leave, and my mother would only expect to hear my voice when I came back. There was no communication, there was zero. To get a telephone, I'm sure Mwangi can testify here, it took so long to get, if you get anything like that. But the government invested in ICT infrastructure. This ICT infrastructure completely changed the way the world works in Kenya. A lot of young people take it for granted when they get their passport within 2, 3, 4 days. For us, it used to be 6 months, 1 year before you got the passport. There are so many other government services that have been digitized since that time. I think 100% of the government services are online. We are able to pay our taxes online. We are able to communicate online. We are doing several things online because of infrastructure. I'm emphasizing this because Hino also said, going forward, we must look at the infrastructure that will take us forward. Today, with the little infrastructure that we have in northern Kenya, a mother takes a smartphone on a child's chest, and through AI, they are able to identify the kid has tuberculosis. The nurse can do that. This is something that used to be done by radiologists and other things. We need to expand that throughout the country. And what I'm saying, what we need going forward from today is actually to build the future infrastructure for AI, because AI is disrupting education, disrupting health, disrupting agriculture, and that we need to have its own infrastructure. And because of geopolitical contestation, there is a problem that we must begin to solve now. That what every country is doing is to build their sovereign AI, but there is a problem which the president knows very well, energy. We need to have energy. We cannot talk about AI going forward without significant amount of energy. I think we're at less than 5,000 megawatts. We probably need another 10,000 megawatts within a very short period. Companies like Microsoft try to invest in that space. We need to work with the private sector and build the infrastructure. The same way we put the fiber in the undersea and also terrestrial to every county, we must invest in the future infrastructure for Kenya's competitiveness. Our education has done very well. Mwangi talked about it. We need to leverage AI because what the studies are showing is that most of us who have been teaching, we teach an average student. But with AI now, we can identify the needs of every child and actually provide the right thing. It is not going to destroy teachers. It's going to facilitate teaching. I would stop here because I can say.
Thank you so much. The simplest way, I think, to understand AI is to see it as a tool. Ni kama jembe, yeah? It doesn't replace the person who needs to do the work. Maybe jembe is wrong in today's environment, but it's a tool. Your Excellency, I do want to come to you before we open to the floor. As a leader, same question. What are you proud of in terms of what we've achieved so far? And where are we going? But as a citizen, as a farmer, where do you really want us to go? Please tell us.
Thank you very much, Julie. And good morning, everybody. Vision 2030 in 2008 became the roadmap for us as a nation to think long-term about our development. Maybe I see some people straining to see. Long-term for us to plan our way into prosperity. And we must commend President Mwai Kibaki and the vision bearers then, who provided a platform for us to put together what today is finally in the sunset years. Vision 2030 has provided a framework for us to figure out our development. It set out that Kenya should be an industrialized nation, middle income, high quality of life in a safe environment. all the targets we set for ourselves, we have been given a review of where we are on the economic pillar, on the social pillar, on the political pillar, and the enablers. And we have been given a scorecard by the Vision 2030 Secretariat. We have done fairly well in many aspects. We've done well in others more than others. We've been given the figures on the political pillar. We are at 80 plus. I think we have an A. And you can see it. We have a new constitution. We have a robust Bill of Rights. We have a democratic state. We have an open society, a rule of law. We have a working judiciary. We have a civil society that is not constrained. And we have made ourselves a very proud nation. In fact, globally, Kenya is recognized as a democratic country. It is part of the reason why in 2023-24, I paid a visit to America, and the single most important component was the fact that we share in our celebration of freedom and democracy. We have been given indication as to where we are with the economic pillar. In fact, I think of all the pillars, the economic pillar is where we have done not very well, at around 50, I think it was 52, 53%. On the social pillar, we are around 60. We have made progress. Today, we have significantly in our region, we've done very well in terms of paved roads. We have 20,000 kilometers of paved roads. We have a working SGR. We have an expressway. We have dualed some of our roads. We've extended electricity. We now have 10,000 homes. 10 million, sorry. 10 million households going to 11 million households connected to electricity. Our transition on education is significant. We have done very well. But why are we having this conversation? And I want to thank the people of Kenya. When I asked the country that it is time for us to have a national conversation about the long-term vision of our nation, we have been explained to why. Number one, Vision 2030 will come to an end in the next 3 years. Medium-term plan 4 is ending in 2027. For us to plan medium-term 5, medium-term plan number 5 is going to take from 2027 to 2032. Yet Vision 2030 is ending in 2030. So we need to have the longer-term vision for us to be able to plan medium-term 5. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, when we figured out Vision 2030, 20-something years ago, the world was much different from what we have today. Technology had not taken the space it occupies today. The advent of AI was not with us. We didn't have the serious effects of climate change the way we have today. We had a completely different situation. It is important that at this point in time, we give ourselves another opportunity to think about the long-term development of Kenya in the context of the world that we live in today. Number three, when Vision 2030 was developed, it was developed before the new Constitution. The new Constitution provides us with a better and clearer framework on how to think long-term. And therefore, it is important that we engage in this exercise in the context of a new Constitution. A new Constitution that does not request us to consult the people. No, it is mandatory. The reason why you find in some cases many people do not understand, do not relate to Vision 2030 was because there was no public participation to the extent that we know public participation as provided for in the Constitution at the moment. And therefore, we have an opportunity, this time round, different from the opportunity that was in 2008, to formulate a long-term plan, one that is done by the people, not by government, not by bureaucrats, by the people themselves. And therefore, we need to give ourselves the opportunity, and this opportunity that we have to think about Kenya long term. We want to pick the minds of everybody. The farmers, entrepreneurs, students, technocrats, everybody. Let them tell us what kind of future that we all want to think about. And nobody should assume that any one of us has the monopoly of knowledge. This cannot be, and I make it very clear, this is not a government project. This is a people's project. So Kenyans must prepare themselves. It is a responsibility put on our shoulders collectively. And I will be speaking as a citizen as well, because I also have aspirations on what I think our country should be, beyond me being a leader today in Kenya. And number four, just so that we contextualize this, the center of gravity, global gravity, in terms of growth, is moving to Africa. Africa today is pivotal. Why? Because of four reasons. Number one, we have the largest reserves of renewable energy. We have the youngest population, a population that a quarter of the world's population will be living in our continent by 2050. Number three, we have the largest market that is emerging. Number four, we have the largest reserves of uncultivated arable land for food security going into the future. And therefore, as the center of gravity, global growth moves to Africa, we must position Kenya appropriately so that we become that epicenter. It is for those four reasons in my thinking that this is the moment for us to imagine the Kenya that we all want into the future. Many people may say, this being a year where we are going into politics, maybe this should not be the opportunity for us. Now, I want to tell them, Kenya is bigger than any election. For far too long, we have made elections to look like it is a matter of life and death. It is not. Yes, it is important. And the reason why we have not achieved some of our targets is because we have made our plans not with the foresight of the future, not thinking about the next generation, but simply thinking about the next election. And that is how we haven't met some of our targets. And I speak from a position of knowledge, and I speak from a position of experience.